Kwa carpet.
Kutoka Pwani.
Kuleta Huduma Center ilikuwa kitu kizuri kwa sababu unapata huduma zote under one roof.
Hadi katika milima ya kuvutia ya Taita Taveta.
Niko hapa Huduma Center hapa saa hii, nimeonyeshwa kila kitu na nimeshukuru. Siwezi kutafuta tiketi ya kwenda mpaka huko.
Na kuelekea hadi maeneo tambarare ya Maasai.
Mali ingine nilikuwa naamka mapema niende kupanga laini, lakini hapa nimekuja ile masaa nimechukua almost 10 minutes.
It's a game changer. Imeleta serikali na mwananchi pamoja.
Unisalie watoto mama, nakuwa utokosa.
This week, the spotlight is on Okello Marx. The singer and songwriter came into the limelight in 2019 when he featured as a background singer in Sauti Sol's hit song Extravaganza. Since then, he has released several other hits including Kiss, Nakufa and Rumba Japani. Catch Okello Marx on Easy Friday at 9:45 p.m. with Shiksha Arora only on KBC Channel 1.
I can't wait to be back in school.
Watoto, it's important for you to learn how to properly wear your mask, to stretch your arms, social distance, and properly wash your hands this COVID-19 season.
Great idea, Elsa.
Join Captain Tumaini this Saturday on Big Mind at 9 to 10 a.m. to learn more.
This program was made possible through the support of USAID and Ministry of Health.
To our valued customers, listeners and viewers, we thank you for being our valued partner. KBC is grateful for the pleasure of serving you, and we hope to continue meeting your expectations. Happy Customer Service Week from us. We celebrate you.
Good afternoon, this is Lunchtime News. My name is Jacky, Wambiru. Our sign language interpreter is Byron Abuli. Well, we have a comprehensive bulletin lined up this afternoon. Remember, you can interact with us on our social media handles at KBC Channel 1. And to kick us off, we cross over to Vihiga County, where ODM leader Raila Odinga is expected, or rather is touring Vihiga County in efforts to woo residents to his presidential bid, as well as sell Azimio la Umoja campaign. Well, in his Vihiga tour, he is also said to strengthen his party in Vihiga. Remember, this is a region where ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi hailed from. Our reporter Simon Achola is on the ground and has more details. Well, Achola, kindly bring us to speed on the situation on the ground.
Well, thank you very much, Jacqueline Wambiru. As you've rightly put it, this is indeed is the home ground of ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi. But nonetheless, Raila Amolo Odinga has had a massive support in this county over the years. And of course, he will be following up on the past success just to ensure that indeed he continues to get that support as we head into 2022 general election. And what he'll be doing here today is that he will be coming here for a funds drive for this school. It's called Huiliva Primary School. And of course, from there, he will then engage the locals on various issues. And as you've rightly put it, some of the issues that he is expected actually to address is the issue of Azimio la Umoja, where he's actually been calling all leaders and Kenyans alike to ensure that they pull in one direction in terms of ensuring that there's unity in this country as they move forward in terms of a 2022 general election and beyond. So then on the basis on the platform of peace in this country, then we can actually realize economic growth. From there, we also expect it is also expected that he will be moving to Luanda Township, where he will hold a rally and actually address a number of issues. And of course, one of the issues that he is expected actually to address is the issue of voter registration. In the past, Jacky, what has actually been happening in this region, or what Raila has actually said, he has said that he's yet actually to officially declare if he's actually going for the presidency. But each and everything that is actually happening around him, they say if it's quacking or walking like a duck, then definitely it is a duck. Indicates that he's actually going to vie in 2022. But he said that he'll actually be looking at voter registration and a number of other factors before he decides if he's actually vying or not. So we understand that he's actually be calling on the youth in this region to actually register as voters. Now, just bring you up to speed. In the last general election, Vihiga County had about 90,000 registered voters. This time around, we understand that they are targeting just slightly above 50,000 new registered voters in this county. So, of course, that will be some of his target in terms of encouraging the youth and, of course, the locals to go out and register as voters ahead of the next general election. Right now, Jacky, what I understand is that he's actually expected in Ahero also, where he's expected to commission the building of a school that is actually named after him. So from there, then he will fly straight to this place where he will be received by area local MP Chris Omlele. And of course, from there on, they will have short prayers. And of course, he will kick off today's program in Vihiga County. Back to you, Jacqueline Wambiru.
Well, maybe before you wind up, Achola, kindly tell us maybe what are the residents on the ground saying about this initiative being launched?
I didn't get, Jacky, I didn't get your question very well, but you were actually asking what is, if I got it right, then you're actually asking what is going on the ground and what probably are the views of the Wananchi in this region. They have been enthusiastic. They're actually anticipating his coming here, and most of them have actually been telling us they've actually registered as voters, especially the youth, and they're saying that all they are waiting for is an opportunity to actually vote. So they're also saying that they'll actually be listening to him to get to understand what exactly he has in store for them and what he will actually be doing for this particular region. One, Jacky, just to bring you up to speed of exactly what is expected of the former Prime Minister in Vihiga County, one of the key issues that have actually been discussed in this county for over the years has been the issue of coming up with an industry in this area. And just a couple of months back, when it was rumored that President Uhuru Kenyatta will actually be visiting western part of the country, a high power delegation from the government actually toward this region. And one of the key issues that we're actually discussing was the issue of utilization of granite stones in this region and how they can actually ensure that indeed that can actually be turned into a viable industry so that then they can actually employ youth and unemployed from this region. So we suspect that indeed the locals will actually be waiting to hear from the former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga the plans that he actually has in terms of ensuring that one, he comes up with industries that will offer employment in this region, but more importantly, as he's actually put it in his past discussion, to ensure that indeed wealth is created at the grassroots level going upwards. We also understand that a number of leaders, including former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, has just arrived a few minutes ago. So what we'll be doing, Jacky, is to try and listen in on what he will be saying, of course, after this live broadcast. So then we can actually file a comprehensive bulletin for our listeners and viewers in our subsequent bulletin. Back to Jacky.
Well, thank you so much, Simon Achola. We shall be keeping you updated on the developments on that story. For now, we move on. Now, the Kenya Nutritionist and Dietitians Institute planned to set up a center for research and innovation and business incubation to be hosted at the newly launched headquarters in Lolongo, Machakos County. The center will help execute the mandate in not just regulation of the profession, but also research.
The 2010 Constitution of Kenya recognizes adequate food and nutrition as a human right. While nutrition and dietetics is a key pillar in health, Kenya faces high levels of malnutrition, with stakeholders now calling for enhanced measures to deal with dietary needs of Kenyans.
KNDI must play its role in assisting the country to realize the role of nutrition in development, good national health, and management of diseases. The role of nutrition in development is to ensure a healthy, productive workforce.
Speaking during the launch of KNDI office block and headquarters, Health CAS Masi Mwangangi called for the employment of more nutritionists in the country to deal with emerging health challenges brought by poor nutrition.
Kenya is facing a triple threat of malnutrition, as cases of undernutrition, overnutrition, and micronutrient deficiencies continue to be recorded in health facilities all over the country. And this therefore calls for enhanced measures to improve the dietary habits of Kenyans. This requires functional health systems, including professional functional systems that provide responsive, effective health workforce that are able to attend to their duties and that are well regulated.
On his part, Kenya Nutritionist and Dietitians Institute CEO David Okeo said the newly launched center will support not just regulation but trainings and research of the sector to ensure better nutritional standards for Kenyans.
But we are moving towards a process where we have to establish a center for research and innovation. We also want to establish a center for business incubation for private practice through our private wing of the institute, and we believe that with this center the council will execute their mandate on research and also the mandate on setting standards for the practice of nutrition and dietetics and service delivery.
The country has some 15,000 trained nutritionists at different levels, but the absorption in the job market has been low, compromising the focus on nutritional needs of Kenyans. Caroline Kamau reporting for Lunchtime News.
In other news, the National Transport and Safety Authority, in conjunction with the Machakos Traffic Department, has intensified a crackdown on road unworthy vehicles plying the busy Nairobi-Mombasa road. The crackdown is aimed at ensuring safety on the roads following increased cases of road accidents along the Mlolongo-Athi River stretch.
Machakos County Commander Isa Mohammed says road unworthy vehicles pose a danger to other road users.
It's true, it's from our records. Last year accident, na this year tumepita tayari. Ni kama kila siku tuko nafuata. Hatujamaliza mwaka bado.
Isa said the traffic department will also focus more on sensitizing the drivers to observe all road safety protocols to curb accidents and fatalities on the road.
Follow his directions. Are we together? Yes. Kuambia namna hii ndio kusimama, si ndio bwana? Kuambia enda ni kwenda. Enda hivi, enda hivi. Sawa? Tuheshimiane, tuwe discipline. Nchi ni yetu na nyinyi ni wetu pia. So, we are not come here to harass you. We are coming here to serve you.
Some PSV drivers who were intercepted during the crackdown tried fall, claiming that there is poor communication by some traffic officers who failed to notify them of offences committed.
Leo asubuhi tulipata changamoto kama sisi mandriver na makondakta. Gari zilikuwa zinashikwa na ukiuliza inashikiwa nini auelezewi. Sasa kupeleka at River Station, gari zinaanza kung'olewa namba. Ukiulizia hauambiwi ni kwa nini. So mimi nilikuwa naomba jambo moja, si kama mandreva, kama unashikwa uelezewe makosa yako.
Guilty motorists were issued with a 2 weeks notice to comply and ensure the vehicles are in a good condition. Jacqueline Masharia for Lunchtime News.
And now on matters education, the Kenya National Qualifications Authority has called for the streamlining of tertiary education with the needs of the job market. Director General Juma Mukwana says lack of guidance has seen Kenyan universities offer irrelevant courses, leading to an influx of unemployed graduates.
According to the 2019 National and Population Census, the youth make up for 75% of the total population, with unemployment among the youth being as high as 40%. The Kenya National Qualification Authority is attributing this trend partly to a mismatch between acquired skills and skills needed in the job market.
That's what has created jobs without people and people without jobs in the same economy, because you have finished. We are talking to employers, they are looking for people, they can't find expertise, but you have papers that are not relevant for this economy. So it's important that we align our training and our certification to the needs of the country.
Director General Juma Mukwana cited the blue economy and construction as examples of sectors that rely heavily on imported skilled labor. The authority, in partnership with the National Industrial Training Authority, is developing a new qualifications framework that will ensure skilled workers are adequately certified so as to match the demands in the job market.
When you look at the Kenyan market, nearly 30% of all the qualifications being used, either in government or private, they are fake. And so part of it is now we are establishing a national database with the universities. You graduate at the university, they have to give us the list of their graduates so that we kill the idea of fake certifications, because you can imagine yourself going to hospital to be treated by a fake doctor.
The stakeholders are also pushing for the certification of skills in the informal sector, which form over 80% of the workforce.
What we've had in the past is trade tests. So somebody walks into a center and is able to prove through an assessment exercise what they can do. And then on the basis of what they can do against a benchmark of standards, we then give them a trade test, the qualification 3, 2 or 1. So already we were doing that, but now it's been expanded to include what we call master craftsman levels, which is borrowed heavily from Germany, South Korea, countries like those. And so now somebody who has never walked inside to study within an educational institution can get a qualification even equivalent to a postgraduate level.
Meanwhile, parents in Ruiru in Kiambu County are urging the government to consider extending the school holiday to allow them enough time to look for school fees.
When Corona came, some parents were affected. Some don't have jobs, and some their salary was deprived. We are requesting for our government to add some weeks so that parents can be able to pay the school fees of their learners with ease.
You also feel that the government needs to pump more resources in terms of training, more training for teachers, more physical infrastructures in our schools, even something like internet connectivity, so that we can also enhance equality in this program.
Parents have argued that the 1 week school break is too short to adequately prepare their children to report back. Reporting for Lunchtime News, I'm Safin Acheng Ouma.
Meanwhile, the government has started the disbursement of 558 million shillings set aside to cushion vulnerable families. in the drought-stricken northern frontier, speaking during the launch of Relief Food Distribution and Safety Net program in Habaswein, Wajir County. Defense Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa said some households are already enjoying the benefits of the drought mitigation measures, with plans to expand the program to 12 semi-arid counties.
The disbursement of the money to cushion drought-stricken families in the northern frontier will see households receive 5,400 shilling cash transfers each month. Defense Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa said they're targeting 100,000 families as part of their short-term interventions in drought mitigation.
Kila juhudi tutafanya wakati huu wa kiangazi, tupambane, tusaidie watu wetu. Tusipoteze mtu hata mmoja. Mkenya yeyote asipoteze maisha yake kwa ajili ya baa la njaa.
The move has been hailed by the local leaders who say the crisis needs a multi-sectoral approach in interventions from both levels of the government.
It is a time of need, it is a time of drought, it is a time when there is crisis in terms of humanitarian aspects. And this was a timely support.
Our request will be you upscale the support and you do more appeal to all those who can support us.
Still on drought mitigation, 2,723 families in West Pokot are set to benefit from a 5,067 shilling monthly cash transfer for the next 3 months to cushion them from hunger, courtesy of the Red Cross Society and the U.S. Agency for International Development.
Tulikuwa tunalenga familia ambazo zimeumia zaidi, familia ambazo na watoto mayatima, familia ambapo watu wanaishi na ulemavu, familia ambazo kuna watu ni wagonjwa.
Yusuf Far reporting for Lunchtime News.
Now, police in Isiolo County have arrested 4 people and confiscated 30 kilos of bang at a roadblock in Archer's Post. Isiolo County Commissioner Geoffrey Omoding says the narcotic may have been en route to Nairobi.
Isiolo County Commissioner Geoffrey Omoding says the drugs, which may have originated from Ethiopia, has an estimated street value of 1.5 million shillings.
Kuna timu yetu ya multi-agency ambaye ilikuwa upande ya Archer's Post, waliweza kushika bangi ya kiwango ya pesa zaidi ya 1.5 million.
4 people were arrested in the bust.
Hawa tumekamata vijana 4 ambao miaka yao ukiangalia kuanzia miaka 20 to 30. Hao ni vijana tu ambao wanataka yani kutumiwa, unalipa pesa kidogo na drug lords wale wakubwa wako huko wanaendelea kuwatumia.
Omoding said the consignment was discovered with the help of sniffer dogs, which he said have played a key role in identifying vehicles carrying bang and other illegal substances being ferried on the same road in the recent past.
Vile umeona vile wamepanga hii mambo ya kusafiri hizi madawa, wametumia ujanja mwingi sana, ambapo watu kuona tu na macho huwezi ona.
He said the government will not relent in efforts to rid the region and the entire nation of illegal substances. Reporting for Lunchtime News, I'm Wambiru Otiende.
An octogenarian man was set ablaze and his wife seriously wounded on the head after a group of assailants raided his homestead in Embu County. Mbeere South Deputy County Commissioner Chaka Nyamawi attributed the incident to a land ownership saga and urged residents to embrace dialogue in resolving disputes instead of resorting to violence.
When dusk set on Thursday evening, unknown assailants raided the homestead of 80-year-old Faustino Njeru Njoka in Minuri Village, Mbeere South, Embu County. They set the old man ablaze and seriously wounded his wife on the head.
Ningependa haki yetu ifuatiliwe, tujue mwenye amefanya hiyo kitendo, tunasikia wanajulikana, wapelekwe mbele.
Kuna watu wamekuja hapa na lori wakaingia, alafu wakaanja kupiga ndulu, Hasa akipiga ndulu, halafu anafungia ile wazazi nyumba kwa nyumba. Halafu sasa mzee alitoka kwa dirisha, sasa alianja kupigwa na mawe na ile mapanga na nini, akakibisana na yeye akaanguka. Penye alianguka alipigwa na mapanga, halafu yule bibi yake akienda kutoka na yeye akapigwa panga, lakini alipata nafasi ya kuepuka. Na huyu mwingine, huyu mzee, lakini yeye mzee aliwezwa na akapigwa kauawa kabisa na akawekwa moto.
Another woman was lucky to escape with minor injuries. Confirming the incident, Mbeere South Deputy County Commissioner Chaka Nyamawi said the assailants also touched 3 houses and 2 motor vehicles in the homestead.
Imefanyika na pia tumesikia ni kwamba hii kesi ni ya shamba. Kesi ya shamba hii ni ya zamani. Lakini wameenda kuharibu hizo nyumba kwa nia ya kuwatoa wale watu ambao wanaishi kwa hizo nyumba. Then ndo wakarudi kwa hii boma. Waliporudi kwa hii boma, watu around kwa hii kijiji sijui walikuwa na react kwa sababu yale yamefanyika kule, ndio wakakuja kuwavamia. Katika ile kuwavamia wakawafungia kwa nyumba wengine, na huyu mzee akajaribu kutoroka, lakini kutoroka kwake, na huu matu ulikuwa mkubwa, ndio wamekata wakiwa wanachoma nyumba hapa. Wengine wanakatakata miraa hapo nyuma ya nyumba, kuna miraa imekatwa mingi sana. So wakaharibu wakakatakata hiyo miraa huku nyumba wanachoma. Mzee akajaribu kutoroka, ndio wakampata kabla hajafika mbali, wakamchoma hapo nyuma.
Mbeere South Sub-County Police Commander Gregory Motiso said no arrests have so far been made, adding that police were following crucial leads regarding a land ownership tussle the deceased was embroiled in, with a view to bringing the culprits to book.
Residents in Kino area, Kiambu County, are in shock following an incident where a young man allegedly stabbed his 70-year-old grandmother to death. Neighbors say the 23-year-old man, who has since been arrested, may have been under the influence of drugs.
Friends and relatives of the 70-year-old granny are still struggling to come to terms with a shocking ordeal.
7:30 we were called, as in people were screaming, so we came and we found her fallen over there with a lot of blood flowing. As you can see over there, the whole of that place was flooded with blood.
According to residents, the 23-year-old used a knife to stab his grandmother before cleaning it, and later locked himself in one of the rooms of the deceased.
She had fallen, so apparently those people who had this, they said it is the grandson who had either stabbed her or pushed her. We are not sure.
The young man is said to be a drug addict and has been unruly, and efforts to reform him have all proven futile.
Ashakuwa akitishia watu. Hata alikuwa amesema atatahiri hii kijana ya nini brother yake. Sasa sijui ni jana ama ni juzi alikuwa amesema atahiri. Alienda kwa mama yake akasema atamnyonga. Sijui alikuwa anamnyonga kwa nini. Mama yake kwa duka, lakini anasimama pale kwa barabara anamfanyia hivi, nitakunyonga. So after akitoka Kino ndio alikuja kuua mimi my mom. So sio kitu ako nayo. Hata kama ako na drugs, tunasema sio yeye wa kwanza kukunywa drugs.
Hakuna kazi wanafanya, wanakaa huko. Kwa hivyo tunataka wasaidiwe, washikwe vizuri, wasaidiwe, waongereshwe, watafutiwe kazi na serikali. Kwa maana huyu kijana mzuri sana, hangetaka kufanya hivi, lakini kwa sababu ya hiyo dawa, na sio upeke yake hapa, ni wengi wanakunywa hizi dawa.
The suspect has been arrested and is being detained at the Kikuyu police station, while the body of the deceased was taken to Thogoto mortuary. Kamchemenza for Lunchtime News.
Stakeholders around Lake Naivasha have raised concerns over the encroachment of their riparian lands by unscrupulous traders. The stakeholders, who include environmentalists, say the trend has affected water quality and quantity flowing into the lake. This comes as the National Land Commission embarked on exercises to recover riparian land lost to business people.
Speaking during a visit by a team from the National Land Commission, Chairman Lake Naivasha Water Resource Users Association Enoch Olekiminta noted that encroachment into lake land has hurt the lake's ecosystem.
But the encroachment I will give has gone up by almost 80%, and this encroachment is really having a negative impact on the ecosystem.
He further added that human activities around the lake have affected water levels due to the high amount of silt deposits.
And then again, there are other human activities that has really impacted the lake depth, and these are of course the unsustainable agricultural activities.
On his part, the chairperson Lake Naivasha Riparian Association called for a collective responsibility in the protection of Lake Naivasha.
Lake Naivasha ni muhimu sana kwa wale wote washikandao wanakaa hapa kwa hii Naivasha. Kwa hivyo hii tatizo na ndio nilikuwa tunaongea na hawa watu wa National Land Commission, lazima itatuliwe kwa kukaa chini, lazima itatuliwe kwa watu wote kuhusishwa, ndio sasa tuje na suluhu ambaye itamaliza hii shida.
Yusuf Hilo, Lunchtime News.
Now, youths in Madogo area, Tana River County, have been urged to enroll in large numbers for technical courses to help entrench self-reliance. This comes after the establishment of a new technical training college in the area.
Parents have been advised to persuade their children who scored grades of D+ or D- and also who did not manage to further their education beyond primary level to join the college.
Vijana wetu wengi wakifanya mtihani kama hawajaenda vyuo vikuu ama hawajaenda colleges, wanarudi nyumbani wanakaa class 8 form 4 na kadhalika, hasa wale wa D+, D- na D pamoja na E. Na hali shule kama hii inaweza kuwasaidia vijana kama hao ili kuweza kujiendeleza kimaisha. So lengo letu ni kufahamisha vijana hawa ili mtu akimaliza shule asione hiyo ndio ama kama ameanguka asione kama hiyo ndio mwisho ya masomo. Kwa hivyo wajibu wetu ni kuleta kwa shule kama hizi ili wapate ujuzi ili aweze kujiendeleza.
Madogo College manager Alfred Okora says the institution is ready to offer courses with the support of stakeholders and the local community.
We have the capacity of hosting more than 200 trainees, and the programs we enrolled from January to Meansisha.
The college has already enrolled 20 students pursuing different courses, including fashion and design, information and communication, and electrical engineering.
Now, moving on, there is need for concerted efforts among stakeholders to curb the crisis of teen pregnancy in the country. Girls aged between 15 to 19 years are the most affected, threatening their future hopes.
Teen pregnancy in some sub-Saharan countries has been declared a national disaster. According to data from the World Health Organization, approximately 12 million girls and at least 777,000 girls under 15 years give birth each year in developing countries. In Kenya, the situation is getting dire, with some of teenage pregnancy cases turning positive for HIV/AIDS.
1 in every 5 girls you meet aged between 15 to 19 years is either pregnant or has been pregnant, or has a child. Today in Kenya, 1 out of 5. So that is an alarming figure.
Nakuru is among counties with high teenage pregnancy cases, scaling an average of between 18 to 20% score. According to Nakuru Governor Lee Kinyanjui, concerted efforts by stakeholders is key in taming this crisis.
Some of the issues are also deeply entrenched in our culture, because as we know, in certain cultures after 12 a girl is ready for marriage, and it still happens today, notwithstanding what the law says.
The Ma community living around the world-famous Masai Mara Game Reserve wants to be involved in the formation of the Masai Mara Management Plan. The residents, led by environmentalist Professor Meita May Oledapash, accused some individuals who control a private conservancy at the Mara of trying to control the activities of the entire ecosystem without engaging the locals. Let's take a look.
The Ministry of Tourism, in collaboration with the County Government of Narok, has been preparing the Mara Management Plan paper in Nairobi. Environmentalist Professor Meitamei Oledapash says the plan will help in giving clear guidelines on the management and conservation of the Mara. He, however, called for involvement of local communities in the area for a harmonious implementation of the plan.
Kama mnataka kuleta management plan, mulete tutengeneze hapa. Sio kwenda kututengenezea You cannot purport to be creating a management plan in Nairobi. Alafu mnatuletea hapa kitu ambayo hata hatuelewi ni nini iko ndani.
Former Narok County Game and Forest Services Chairman Daniel Ole Nkimaneda and Charles Moniko, a resident and tour guide, said the communities living around the Mara should benefit from its revenue.
Wakati mababu zetu walikuja kukalisha sisi chini nasema tunataka kutenga ardhi ya milele na milele ya mtoto yote nasaliwa katika Masailand yote. Hii ni ng'ombe yao.
Wamasai wanalia katika hii buga yetu ya Masai Mara. Tuko na magroups ya guides. Ameleta beberu sija ametoka wapi? Na anatufukuza kama sisi ni waisi katika hii nchi yetu ya Masai.
Well, on that note, we'll take a short break. Don't go too far. We'll be back with more news.
Since then, he has released several other hits including Kiss, Nakufa and Rumba Japani. Catch Okello Max on Easy Friday at 9:45 p.m. with Shiksha Arora only on KBC Channel 1.
How did you discover that your son was having some behavior that was not okay?
He started having problems at school. He was in high school, I think Form 1, Form 2. Then he would have discipline cases, and more often than not, he would be sent home. Unfortunately, for some time, I thought it was just a pure case of indiscipline.
Are we as a country, as far as addressing mental illness is concerned?
As a country, the burden on mental health is so bad right now, because a report by WHO states that 1 in every 4 persons is suffering from one of the illnesses, and especially depression.
I don't quite remember anybody coming to me and telling me that you need to seek professional help at the time. We were just at the mercy of the world, I would say.
Between 30 and 40% of all buildings in Kenya are considered to be unfit for human occupation. The verdict: rebuild or demolish. But what is the way forward?
A lot of buildings have been found to be unfit for occupation, and this is after an investigation was carried out by NCA and the National Building Inspectorate, and especially on the eastern parts of Nairobi, where there is a lot of development in the so-called low-cost housing.
This week on Inside Government, we discuss the safety of our buildings with the chairman of Boards of Registration of Architects and Quantity Surveyors, Sylvester Muli, architect, right here on KBC Channel 1.
An independent country and I can do anything I want, okay? You hate to insult me majorly, eh? Now I will give you a piece of my mind. You are doing it because you want people's attention.
Pens, books on the table, total silence and speedy brain performance.
Malimo, our man,
I said pens, books on the table, total silence, and speedy brain performance.
I think this school is cursed. Why do we always get these nutheads in the name of leaders? I can do a better job even without the school degree.
On news making headlines in the business world, the deal to sell tea directly to Iran has kicked off a storm between the Ministry of Agriculture and the county of Bomet. The county governor, Hilary Barchok, has said tea from the county fetched a price of $3 per kilo, which is above the $2.50 currently offered through the Mombasa tea auction. Agriculture CS Peter Munya has accused Barchok of lying to tea farmers about an non-existent deal.
In July, the county of Bomet announced that it has signed an agreement with the Republic of Iran to sell tea directly to the Middle East nation. For many years, Iran has been a big buyer of Kenyan black tea, but the deal has been jeopardized by financial sanctions imposed unilaterally by the United States. Former US President Donald Trump withdrew the US from a United Nations-backed nuclear deal and went ahead to slap Tehran with trade sanctions. This has complicated Iran's trade and political relations with some countries that fear being sanctioned by Washington. Bomet County Governor Hilary Barchok has said Iranian tea buyers have agreed to buy tea at a price of $3 per kilo.
What we are doing is to facilitate, to look for new markets. The traditional markets that we used to rely on, like UK, Egypt, Pakistan, and all those, are currently facing challenges. And that is why the market price for our tea auction in Mombasa have been dropping.
Barchok further says the county has entered into an agreement with the Iranian traders to sell 40 tons of tea on a weekly basis.
First one was, of course, reception of the tea that we flagged up some times back. And secondly, was also to go and expand the opportunities for our farmers in terms of getting more traders to purchase our tea from Bomet and the rest of Kenya, by the way.
Bomet County is one of the biggest tea producers in the country, producing 43 million kilos of green tea in 2020. The deal has come under harsh criticism from Agriculture CS Peter Munya, who has accused Barchok of hoodwinking tea farmers from the county. Reporting for Lunchtime News, my name is Hibak Said.
The government has allocated 8 billion shillings to rehabilitate various irrigation schemes in Tana River County to deal with perennial food shortage in the county. The funds will go towards the expansion of the Bura and Hola irrigation schemes. Coast Regional Commissioner John Elungata has said the Coast Development Authority has spent 34 million shillings to expand Gaba, Kanduru and Kibora irrigation projects in the same county.
Despite River Tana, the biggest and largest river in the county passing through the county of Tana River, the county remains one of the most food insecure regions in the country, with close to up to 80% of the residents in the area being food insecure at any given time. To deal with hunger and drought situation in the county, the government is investing billions of shillings in irrigation projects.
Unaona kwamba njia hii itatuwezesha kuwalisha watu wetu. Sio kukupeana chakula. Okay, chakula tunapeana kama stopgap. Lakini kwa muda mrefu tunajua kwamba kile ambacho kitaendelezwa ni kukuza chakula kwa watu wetu ambao wanahitaji chakula. Kama muhimu ni kwamba ukinyunyizia maji mashambani unapata mimea mingi zaidi kuliko sema kulima shamba ukitegemea msimu wa mvua.
Coast Regional Commissioner John Elungata has said the government has further rehabilitated the 200,000 Baomo water reservoir that will be used to irrigate farms in Baomo area. The regional commissioner has also said the government will construct 2 more water reservoirs to ensure water is sufficient in the county.
Karibu na schemes hii tumejaribu kuiwekea demonstration plot ambaye imefadhiliwa pia na Coast Development Authority ambaye itawafunza wakulima ukulima biashara na good agriculture practices.
The project is being set up at Kora Kora intake along River Tana for the Bura irrigation scheme, where a similar project will be put up in Hola. Coast Development Authority Managing Director Mohamed Kainan said the authority has invested millions of shillings in rehabilitating 800 acres in 3 irrigation projects in Tana River County. Reporting for Lunchtime News, I am Teresa Mutai.
Fish traders in Busia County are demanding the release of the lorries that were impounded by Uganda security officers. The traders say the Ugandan authorities have accused them of smuggling fish from Uganda and selling them to the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Fish traders from Busia, led by Ruben Kayofu, say that Ugandans have falsely accused them of being unable to produce fish.
Kwa sahi wanaleje ya kwamba tuna trade samaki zao, tuna smuggle samaki zao kutoka nchi ya Uganda, zinakuja kwa soko yetu, tunazifanyia rebagging na tena tuna transport katika nchi ya Congo.
They vowed to close the border and not allow vehicles from Uganda to pass into Kenya if the impounded vehicles are not released.
Sisi tutafunga hii border. Hatutaruhusu magari ya Uganda ikross border ya Kenya iende katika nchi zingine. Ni haki yetu.
The traders have appealed to the government to intervene, citing losses since they depend on their businesses for their livelihoods.
Serikali ya Kenya wasipotusikia ili watupe suluhisho ya kutusaidia, tunaenda kufunga boda, hakuna gari ya Uganda itapita na hakuna gari itatoka Kenya itaingia Uganda. Lazima tupate haki yetu.
Nigeria's president unveiled a record $39.8 billion budget for 2022, with a projected 25% year-on-year rise in government spending as the economy struggles with the impact of the pandemic. The plan for Africa's top oil exporter assumes crude output of 1.88 million barrels a day, an oil price of $57 per barrel. Here are the details of these and other stories from across the continent.
The deficit will rise by 3.39% of GDP to be funded by new borrowing, proceeds from privatizations, and drawdowns on loans secured for specific projects. Economic analysts say Nigeria's budget signaled the government was not about to make any major policy shift, as spending would remain elevated to deal with a deteriorating security situation in many parts of the country. The armed forces have been struggling to contain Islamist insurgencies in the northeast, a spate of mass abductions and deadly bandit attacks in the northwest, conflicts between farmers and herders in many areas, and a general surge in crime. The World Bank has said that rising insecurity, along with high food inflation and stalled reforms, was a drag on growth and a factor in rising poverty. Meanwhile, Moderna plans to invest up to $500 million to build a factory in Africa to make up to 500 million doses of mRNA vaccines each year, including its COVID-19 shot, as pressure grows on the pharmaceutical industry to manufacture drugs on the continent. African countries and the World Health Organization have been urging drug makers for months to set up vaccine plants on the continent to help it secure supplies of COVID-19 shots that have been hoovered up by wealthier nations. As of recently, only about 4.5% of Africans had been fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Moderna's proposed site is expected to include drug substance manufacturing as well as bottling and packaging capabilities. The US drug maker says it will begin the process of deciding the country and location soon. Finally, the Zimbabwean government warned it will suspend licenses of businesses that continue to price their goods using black market rates, saying the practice was causing price instability. The southern African country has for years struggled with acute foreign exchange shortages and only reintroduced its own domestic currency in 2019, ending a decade of dollarization. The government, as a result, is implementing additional measures to curb the practices, including impromptu audits of corporate activities by the Zimbabwe Revenue Authority. Zimbabwe's central bank says the annual inflation rate could end the year between 35% and 53%, up from an earlier estimate of 25% to 35%, as the local currency weakened on the black market. Reporting for Lunchtime News, my name is Hibak Said.
In other news, the Communications Authority of Kenya will crack the whip on illegal courier operations to rid the sector of unlicensed businesses. The authority says unlicensed couriers are a danger to consumers. ICT Chief Administrative Secretary Maureen Mbaka has urged CA to enhance its surveillance on the unlicensed operators, whom she says have taken advantage of the rise in online shopping since the outbreak of COVID-19. Data from CA shows that the number of licensed courier operators hit 289 in June 2021 from 263 in June 2019, while the number of private courier outlets grew from 788 in 2019-2020 to 901 in 2020-2021 financial year.
Took advantage of the pandemic to start offering unlicensed courier services in the country. I am therefore calling upon the CA to enhance its enforcement interventions across the country and ensure that those firms operating without licenses are weeded out of the market, for they are not only undercutting licensed operators and denying the government revenue from license fees and taxes, but they pose a risk to consumers who have no redress.
We are making efforts to respond to the fast-changing customer needs in adaptation of new technologies to enable the development of suitable door-to-door delivery networks.
Now, senators in the U.S. have voted to temporarily extend the country's debt ceiling less than 2 weeks before it was due to be reached. The temporary measure raises the U.S. debt ceiling to $480 billion. However, analysts fear that if the U.S. defaults on debt, it would severely hurt the country's credit rating and possibly lead to a self-inflicted recession. Here are the details of these and other stories from across the globe.
Disagreements over the limit on how much the government can borrow are not new in U.S. politics. But the ongoing row between Republicans and Democrats has caused jitters in the financial markets. There were fears that the U.S. would default on its national debt with catastrophic global implications. The Senate, the upper chamber of Congress, decided on Thursday by a vote of 50 to 48 to extend the debt ceiling until early December. The bill will now be sent to the House of Representatives for approval before it can be sent to the President Biden for his signature. The vote was held hours after Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, a Democrat, announced that a deal had been reached. U.S. lawmakers will still have to address this issue near the new December deadline to avert a default. Meanwhile, the number of countries in the UK COVID travel red list will be cut from 54 to 7. South Africa, Brazil and Mexico come off the red list, which requires travelers to quarantine in an approved hotel at their cost for 10 full days. This latest move will be seen as a boost to the airline industry and families separated during the pandemic. Panama, Colombia, Venezuela, Peru, Ecuador, Haiti, and Dominican Republic remain on the red list. Pandemic travel rules in UK have recently been simplified with the amber list cut and advice against holidays changed from 32 countries. Arrivals from 37 more destinations will have their vaccination status certificates recognized, meaning they can avoid more expensive post-arrival testing requirements. Finally, India is on the brink of an unprecedented power crisis. More than half of the country, 135 plants, are running on fumes as coal stocks run critically low. In a country where 70% of the electricity is generated using coal, this is a major cause for concern as it threatens to derail India's post-pandemic economic recovery. As India's economy picked up after a deadly second wave of COVID-19, demand for power rose sharply. Power consumption in the last 2 months alone jumped by almost 17% compared to the same period in 2019. At the same time, global coal prices increased by 40% and Indian imports fell to a 2-year low. The country is the world's second largest importer of coal, despite also being home to the 4th largest coal reserves in the world. Power plants that usually rely on imports are now heavily dependent on Indian coal, adding further pressure to the already stretched domestic supplies. If the crisis continues, a surge in the cost of electricity will be felt by consumers. Retail inflation is already high as everything from oil to food has become more expensive. Reporting for Lunchtime News, I am Teresa Mutai.
And now in the sports arena, Engine Firat made a disappointing debut with Harambee Stars and mathematically confirmed the end of Kenya's march to Qatar 2022 World Cup after an embarrassing 5-0 loss to Eagles of Mali in Agadir, Morocco. The win puts highly fancied Mali in a comfortable position of advancing the third round of the qualifiers.
Great chance from left to right, and this side.
Feat for the first time since 2005, when Morocco humbled the then star side 5-1 in Rabat during 2006 World Cup qualifiers with 7 points, 2 points ahead of Uganda, who were 5 following their Thursday 1-0 win in Kigali, as Kenya and Rwanda taking the 3rd and 4th positions with 2 and 1 points respectively. Mali boasts of 6 goals now, with 5 scored against Kenya, as they beat Rwanda by a solitary goal in the same town before drawing Uganda 0-0 in Kampala. Firat's confusion was evident just from the squad he started, playing some players out of their usual position.
AC Milan fullback Theo Hernandez scored a spectacular 90th minute win as France hit